Hello guests, I'm the host and welcome to the Silent Lounge. Killing Floor 3 was released a couple of weeks ago, meaning people can purchase and play the full release version. Did I buy it?
No. No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
Like I said in my previous video, I don't want to support the practice of buying half-finished, broken games that are poorly optimized for PC. So I'm willing to wait until the optimization issues are resolved. Initially, I wanted to buy and review Killing Floor 3, but I am still unsure if that will be worth my time since I spoke very candidly about the last stress test. Instead of reviewing the game, I decided to open the discussion to Killing Floor 3's longevity and discuss the reviews and other factors that will affect its life cycle. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you enjoyed your stay at the Silent Lounge. Steam reviews are great because you get to see how long the reviewer has played the game. You can also see the total number of reviews alongside the percentage of positive reviews. Overall, Steam is a good metric for game reviews on PC. I am not just cherry picking the bad reviews, I'm also reading the positive reviews to support my argument later in the video. Okay, so I'm on the Killing Floor Steam page, and this was the very first review that popped up on that page. It's not a review that I picked. It's a review that, it was literally one of the first reviews that popped up, so I'm reading it. I spent over 1,500 hours in Killing Floor 2. I defended it, recommended it, and replayed it more times than I can count. I love that game, not because it was perfect, but because it had heart. It knew what it was. A gritty, chaotic co-op shooter where normal people were thrown into a nightmare and became mercs. Killing Floor 3 throws all that to the bin. Some of the things I have trouble with, but not limited to, characters. In Killing Floor 2, the characters felt like real people caught in something horrible. Yeah, they had their quirks, but there was a balance of humor and grit. In Killing Floor 3, everyone sounds like they're in a bad mobile game. Even Foster, who I loved in Killing Floor 2, has been reduced to cheesy one-liners. Where's the edge? Where's the authenticity? I seriously find the Firebug so cringe. Her entire personality is nothing but, I like fire. Smiley face. Game design. Everything from perks to progression to tone feels like it was copied from other games without asking if it fits. Some changes don't add anything, like the hub. They just exist because XX game does it. The result is a Frankenstein shooter that lacks the identity and flow that made Killing Floor 2 so addictive. Give it time. Yes, Killing Floor 2 had years of updates, and that comparison may seem unfair. But the issue isn't the content, it's the design. Killing Floor 3 systems aren't satisfying. The combat isn't punchy, the pacing feels wrong. It's not that it's missing content, it's missing soul. It's missing that brutal, grounded, panic-inducing magic that made Killing Floor what it was. I really wanted to give it a chance, really wanted it to be good. My only hope is to wait. Maybe it'll get better. Right now, I can't recommend this, not because I don't care, but because I do. And this isn't it. So here is a positive review. I have mixed feelings on the game so far. It has been a blast playing the matches with friends, and the game seems to have fair stability and minimal issues for now. The launch content does seem a bit scarce, and I'm not sure how long it will be before I get bored with it. The weapon crafting system is interesting. I'm not sure if it's good or bad yet, but it definitely seems to be a little too grindy. Crafting attachments for a loadout are single use and cannot be used on different loadout using the same weapon. I'm glad you can recycle, but I think we would have been better off with a simpler token system for attachments. Instead, we have these needless resources that I pay almost no attention to. While I appreciate Tripwire taking a jab at more in-depth weapon customization, the added complexity of random rolled bonus perks on these crafted attachments along with other mechanics turns this into an unnecessary grind. It is early and perhaps I'll feel different as I continue to use the system. Easy anti-cheat. It wasn't needed and I don't understand the point, especially if, hopefully, mod support is coming somewhere down the road. Here is another negative review. Killing Floor 3 is disappointing entry in a once beloved franchise. While the visuals and gore effects are technically impressive, the game feels like a hollow shell of its predecessors. The removal of essential features like text chat, the addition of an intrusive battle pass, and constant performance issues make it hard to enjoy. Weapon variety is lacking, progression systems are overly grindy, and the game's identity seems lost in a sea of generic sci-fi aesthetics. It tries to be a modern live service shooter but fails to deliver the charm, replayability, and raw fun that made Killing Floor 1 and 2 so memorable. Right now, it feels like an early access experiment than a polished sequel. So here is a positive review to end out my Steam review section of the video. I'm not a Killing Floor veteran, although I do have 120 hours on Killing Floor 2. At first, I thought this game was poo, but the more I play it, the more I learn how awesome it actually is. It does feel like it's an early access game, but knowing how good Tripwire was supporting Killing Floor 2 with constant updates and free content, I have high hopes for this game. The Year 1 roadmap looks promising, and it's a good sign that they have already acknowledged the performance issues on the roadmap itself. Most game devs these days completely ignore performance issues as they already made bank from sales. The performance is trash right now, and I had to go look up guides and copy and paste stuff in the engine INI file to make it run well on my 4070 Ti, and even then I'm forced to use frame generation to hit 120 to 160 frames per second. The current supply pass is pretty rubbish, not gonna lie. All the cosmetics are just reskins that really look boring. I'd save your money and just get the basic edition of Killing Floor 3. Despite all of this, I think the game is a lot of fun. The skill tree is really nice compared to Killing Floor 3 in my opinion. I'm currently a level 26 commando and feel really strong, especially selecting the skills that apply to my playstyle. I also really like the armory and being able to upgrade your weapons. Each attachment can be upgraded to tier 3, and once you reach tier 3, you get a bonus ability. I'd recommend crafting all the attachments you can make and then go through all of them to see which one of these tier 3 bonuses sound the best for your playstyle. Now that we have finished reading the Steam reviews, let's read Metacritic and see what the consensus is. Metacritic is another good way to gauge how well a game is received on other platforms. The Metacritic score is out of 100, so think of it like a test grade. According to Metacritic, Killing Floor 3 holds a score of 68 on PC and 69 on both the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5. Based on the score, the reviews are mixed across the board on Metacritic. The user score is also out of 10, and the user score for Killing Floor 3 is 5.7 out of 10. We will read the latest critic review, and then we'll read a user review. Throw in a few low-level technical glitches, occasional stuttering, the rare enemy frozen in T-pose in a doorway, and it's hard not to feel underwhelmed. It seems like they have gone out of their way to remove what made them special and fun. Now that we have looked at the reviews, I want to talk about another metric that is a crucial talking point and something that I feel everyone should be aware of. Steam Charts is an excellent tool to gauge player engagement and interest. Concurrent player count is simply the number of players who are playing the game in real time. For example, Killing Floor 3 had a concurrent player count of 30,000 players when the game released, meaning 30,000 people played at the same time on that day. Disclaimer! Before I continue with the Steam charts, I want to clarify why I am discussing this. This section is not to doompost Killing Floor 3, it is to highlight a problem that Killing Floor 3 is having right now. For people who are genuinely enjoying the game, please continue to play it and have fun. Also, this data is from Steam, which is on PC. I do not have access to view the concurrent player count on the Epic Game Store, PlayStation, or Xbox, so what I'm saying is strictly for PC. PC is the largest gaming platform, and Steam is the largest and best digital storefront, in my opinion, for PC gaming. Again, the argument I am making is based on the data from Steam. I will not discuss or make assumptions about other platforms beyond Steam. With that out of the way, let's talk concurrent player counts on Steam. So, I have been monitoring the data for about 2 weeks, and it seems that Killing Floor 3 is bleeding concurrent players. A huge factor that contributes to large concurrent player count is that some of these live service games are free to play. For the sake of argument, I will only compare games that cost $40 like Helldivers 2 and Concord. Popular live service games like Helldivers 2 or the latest Call of Duty saw their concurrent player count grow in the first week of the game's release. Of course, they died down after 2 to 3 months because eventually people grow bored with the games they play. So, Killing Floor 3 had a concurrent play count of 30,000 when it first released, which compared to the previous entry, which only had 7,000 concurrent players at launch, is decent. But there are several factors we need to discuss. Killing Floor 2 was a sequel to the lesser-known game Killing Floor 1. Killing Floor 2 eventually gained notoriety for being an action horror horde shooter, and it got almost a decade's worth of content added. The reason it was able to thrive for as long as it did was because the audience it was trying to cater to was small enough to build upon and grow a unique identity. There wasn't a ton of Left 4 Dead 2 games or Call of Duty zombie games, although different studios under the COD Activision umbrella tried. It wasn't as good as Treyarch Zombies, but remember, Killing Floor 2 came out in 2016. Black Ops 3 Zombies was at its peak, and Left 4 Dead 2 was still popular with over 10,000 concurrent players on Steam. I'm not saying the gameplay in Killing Floor 2 is like Left 4 Dead or Call of Duty Zombies, but they are categorized in the same genre. Killing Floor 2 stood out among those titles, and people kept coming back to play Killing Floor 2. Killing Floor 3, on the other hand, came out almost 10 years after Killing Floor 2, and the market has evolved since then. We now have games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Helldivers 2 that exist in the live service ecosystem before Killing Floor 3 came out. So, why do most live service games fail and very few succeed? It's not because of the egregious microtransactions or political messaging, although both do play a part. The biggest problem with live service games is that the market is oversaturated with them, and it's challenging to stand out and grow. Concord is a prime example of why most live service games fail. The first teaser trailer did not tease anything special, and it came off as disingenuous as a lot of the writing was predictable and cringeworthy.
I am glad you avoided a dishonorable death.
Almost dying is the best way to learn how not to die. Or something.
The gameplay did not save Concord either, as it looked like an Overwatch clone. If Concord had been released before Overwatch, or even Guardians of the Galaxy, it could have found a mainstream audience and became successful. Concord launched with 600 concurrent players and eventually shut down its servers 2 weeks later. The most frustrating thing about Killing Floor 3 is that it could have been a successful live service game if it didn't try so hard to be a live service game. What do I mean by this? Instead of spending so much time making an explorable hub and making a working skin shop, they could have used that time polishing gun animations, gun sounds, and weapon feel. Instead of making a battle pass or a roadmap, they could have implemented all the features that were introduced in Killing Floor 2, like akimbo weapons, selectable perks, and fan favorite characters like DJ Scully. Believe it or not, all this would be forgivable if Killing Floor 3 was able to gain a larger audience and have a growing concurrent player base. So, did Tripwire's gamble pay off? As of recording, Killing Floor 3's concurrent player count is currently at 4,622 players, while Killing Floor 2 is at 5,079 players. It's not a good look when the latest game in the Killing Floor franchise has less players than the previous entry. Killing Floor 2 has been able to get a consistent player count of 6,000 players daily, while Killing Floor 3's player count decreases every day. It doesn't matter if Killing Floor 2 has 10 years worth of content. Killing Floor 3 should have had more players since it is trying to appeal to a larger audience, but it is failing. If you look at games like Helldivers 2, which is offered at a $40 price point like Killing Floor 3, it had a consistent player count of 30,000 people. I have seen a lot of comments justifying the game's unpolished state because it is offered at $40, yet other games that are offered at that price point or lower have higher concurrent player counts. How is this possible? Helldivers 2 knows what audience is trying to cater to. It made its gameplay accessible for anyone to play, without compromising its identity or alienating the core audience. It also helps that Helldivers 2 is a polished game that is addictive and fun, and good word of mouth helped boost player count in the game's early days. Killing Floor 3 could have had that, and unfortunately it ended up the way it did, which has happened to a lot of live service games that did the bare minimum. Guys, I want to be optimistic about this game, and unfortunately, based on what I played, read, and seen, things do not look good for Killing Floor 3. I have talked about live service games and why they often fail, which is due to the market being oversaturated with live service games, and Killing Floor 3 does very little to distinguish itself among other live service games. I genuinely believe that if Killing Floor 3 had focused on creating a polished product rather than adding useless features like an explorable hub and specialists, it could have found success as a live service game. Even the reviews say that Killing Floor 3 has the potential to be a great game, but it's simply not as good as the previous games. The DNA that made Killing Floor 1 and 2 are not present in this game, and the game is not good enough to garner a mainstream audience. It's rare when a game redeems itself, and I hope that is the case with Killing Floor 3. Tripwire Interactive has garnered a reputation for supporting a game with post-launch updates for an extended period, and with Killing Floor 3, it may not have a long life post-launch with metrics like these. Can these metrics change if the updates and fixes improve the user experience? Yes, but remember who the parent company is. Embracer Group is known for canceling games and closing studios. These are the same people who canceled 29 projects like Deus Ex, Red Faction, and Time Splitters. They allowed Tripwire Interactive to delay the game for 4 months, and unfortunately it wasn't enough. The purpose of this video is to inform you about Killing Floor 3's current status and the possibility that this game could have a short life. I can't speak for other platforms, but for PC, things are looking grim for the first month of Killing Floor 3. If I missed anything or misinterpreted the data, please let me know in the comments below. I honestly care about this game. I care about this franchise, and I want this game to improve. I don't want it to fail. I know it may seem that I'm very negative about this game, but I genuinely want this game to succeed, and I want it to be the Killing Floor experience that fans deserve. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, and subscribe if you enjoyed your stay at the Silent Lounge.